Right, folks, welcome back to Brew Time. This week we have Jane Omorogbe. Am I saying that right? Apologies if I'm not.
No, but it doesn't matter. Just call me Jane.
Jane, right. It's Jane. How you doing?
I'm very good. How are you?
Excellent. All good, thank you. All
Yeah.
good. We have Simon Weir to thank for this. Simon put me in touch with you and
Yeah.
is full of praises for you.
Oh, bless him. Take my glasses off. I'm not reading, am I? Bless him. We go back a long way, actually. I think I became a bike journo in 2001. So, and I did it for like 15 or 16 years. So,
Yeah.
all the British bike journos, if you're listening, if you're watching, not
Are
just the
you?
British ones, actually, because we used to travel around a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Changed days now, I think, isn't it? For the bike journals. It's not quite the rock star lifestyle it was, but it's still not a bad life for sure.
Well, to be honest, I remember when I joined and I heard all the stories about how it was. Do you know what? Now I've got my glasses off. I can't see very well. You don't have this, do you? You haven't got glasses on at all.
I'm getting that way. I'm
Are you?
short-sighted, so I normally wear them for distance, but with all the video editing that I'm doing and spending my life on my phone, I'm finding I'm getting closer and closer to the screens. I'm like, it's terrible, bad.
Yeah, yeah. I can lift really heavy shit, but I can't see a book. It's really bothering me. No, I was going to say when I first started doing the bike stuff, I heard stories about how amazing it was before
Yeah,
I joined.
yeah.
How you could bring a partner and have like a week's holiday out of it and stuff.
Mm.
Things changed slightly when I joined, but it was just the best experience ever. I've had quite a few best experiences to be fair. But yeah, I loved it. Loved it.
Well, I tell you what, that brings us nicely on to where I think we should start, really. Your life so far has been varied and full, shall we say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can I pass it? Can I open the floor up to you just initially, just to tell us who are you? How have you got to where you are? What have you done? Go.
I don't think
I'll
we.
sit back for an hour and a half.
Oh, where do we start? Do you know what? I think the easiest thing to explain my mindset is to go right back to my very first job. Well, my
Yeah.
very first job, I worked in a bank, but that didn't last very long because they said I just couldn't stop. So I did that for about a year. I think I
Mhm.
was 18. And then when I was 19, I got a job working for the ambulance service. I was an
Yeah.
ambulance driver in Hastings. And in that job, I wasn't a paramedic, I wasn't a technician, but I aspired to be in those days. And I used to shadow the paramedics, go third manning, and I saw quite a lot of life
Mhm.
at such a young age. And it really scared the bejeebers out of me
Mm.
how you can have your life turn in a blink of an eye,
Yeah.
how life's too short is not just something we should just throw about willy-nilly, but like, and it really, really, it got to me, got under my skin. And I did it for 4 years. And then I just thought, I've got to, literally like life's a sponge. I want to wring everything out of it as much as possible. And when that's empty, I'll go on to the next one and
Yeah.
just keep that is what it just changed everything about how I've always been quite driven, I think, for different reasons, but that job, it was just amazing. I take my hat off to anyone who's doing it, anyone who's still doing it, nurses, all of
Yeah.
that. So underpaid.
Yeah.
um,
I was a police officer for 18 years,
oh
and
really?
yeah, in London, and we all have varied lives, don't we? We all have our own lives that we get involved with, and some people have markedly tougher lives than others. When you do a job like that, where you're fulfilling a social role and you're out mixing with everybody, everyone, doesn't matter what background, what culture, religion, what financial element they come from. None of that matters. The people at the end of the day, and when you deal with people, wow, you see a side of life. You see the best of life, you see the worst of life, don't you? It's
Yeah,
such a leveler, such an eye opener for sure. And
yeah.
anyone that sees their time out in those roles, fair play, fair play.
Yeah, I
18 years
thought
was enough.
I did four. I was
Mm,
19. I left when I was 23, and I just feel
mm,
really privileged to have had that experience because I
yeah,
think to have that kind of wake up call so early when it's not like my life wasn't in danger. I didn't have a sickness, nobody I knew close to me at that point.
yeah,
Um, was affected by this kind of things that I was seeing. But to have that experience so early on, I think it was just really invaluable, and I feel forever grateful for that. And then to get to the Gladiators, it's really funny story. It's like something you just read and you think, nah. So I was delivering a patient to the hospital, and the Sun newspaper that, like when you go into the hospital, there's like a little kiosk with
Uh-huh.
newspapers and flowers and stuff. And we walked past, and they had a rack of newspapers outside, and there was in the Sun, and it said something like the Miss World competition is up, and if you enter Miss United Kingdom, the winner goes to Miss World.
Mhm.
And the winner of Miss United Kingdom, you get like 25 grand or something, and entrance into Miss World. And I was working with a female colleague at the time, and she said to me, "You should try that." And I just went, "Yeah, right." And I went home, and I remember clear as day, I was in my living room ironing, and my then boyfriend, if you're watching, hello, I said to him, "Oh, by the way, did you know if you enter Miss UK and you win it, you get 25 grand. So I'm thinking of entering, like I'll win it and we'll live happy ever after."
Yeah.
And I literally said it like that, like a joke. And he was watching telly, he looked at me and he went, "You win Miss United Kingdom?" "I don't think so." And I was like, "I only meant
What?
it as a joke. I just wanted to go, oh, you're beautiful. Of course you'd
Why
win
is he
love."
your ex? Why?
Oh, yeah. So we parted ways,
Mhm.
and I entered the competition. Just, I had a bee in my bonnet by then.
Yeah.
So, but there was only one round left. This is quite a long story, but it's quite funny. There was only one round left, and it was in Weymouth, and I lived in Hastings, so it was quite a long way. And I had to work in the ambulance service, do my shift, and I had to be like on stage in this beauty contest, which I've never done anything like that before at a certain time, and I couldn't get there. I've got two uncles who are both bikers. And so one of them lived near me and the other one lived in the New Forest, and they're both firemen.
Mhm.
So one of them picked me up after work, put me on the back of his bike. I can't even remember what it was because it was just like, "Get on, let's go."
Yeah.
And they're both advanced motorcyclists, and they had a business teaching. So very good riders. So he took me on the back of his bike to my other uncle in the New Forest. He had to do a shift in the fire brigade like a day later or something. So they switched so that he could go to sleep and get a
Mhm.
bit of nap, a quick nap, while my other uncle got on his motorbike and we went the rest of the way. I got
Wow.
on stage. I had like a rucksack with like a little dress in. Got on stage, pranced about a bit, did my thing, was like, "This is really fun. Like, I've never done anything like it before." And then after, I went backstage to put my bike stuff back on. I'd borrowed all the stuff from them. And I was just going, "Oh, that was fun. Bye, everyone." And thinking, "Oh, we got an adventure to get home again." And I could hear him calling my name, and I'd bloody won. And I was already dressed in my bike stuff to go home because I was
Tell me you
thinking,
came out in your bike kit. Please tell me you came
yeah,
out in your bike.
I had to get my dress back on. And then they gave me like a bunch of flowers and a bottle of champagne and everything and like a sash. And the photos, it was in all the papers down there. The photos with like second and third place, they were like smiling. And I just looked like, just like really confused, like what on earth? And I had to give all the gifts away because I couldn't carry them on the bike. It was really, yeah. So, and then from that, got home just thinking, well, that was fun. Yeah, and yeah, that was just fun. That's it. Um, Thinking, oh, I get entrance now into the Miss United Kingdom.
Mhm.
Like, because every winner of every round goes into Miss
Goes
UK
forward.
and the win, yeah. So I was thinking, oh, I wonder what happens next. In the meantime, I'd gone to the Miss United Kingdom round, and it was in London, in like Park Lane. I don't think I'd ever been to London before. I'd never been on a plane before. Like this was Hastings girl. Oh, I was in this posh hotel and everything. I went on like, what was it called? There was a breakfast TV show with Zoe Ball. Do you remember? Like the Big Breakfast or something.
With
Like,
Zoe Ball.
yeah, it was back, way back. I think it was called, maybe it wasn't even Zoe Ball. I think she maybe took it after. Was it called The Big Breakfast?
There
Channel
was,
4.
yeah, that's right. That's Big Breakfast with Johnny Vaughan and
Yeah.
Denise Van Outen.
Yeah, we were on that. Like all
Oh,
I
yeah.
was just like, "Oh my God, this is the super cool thing." And then I got to the final and I was on stage in the finals, and I met some people from EastEnders and some, like rock stars, and I was just thinking, they're all actually just normal people.
Yeah.
and it was like the curtain had lifted. And I thought, hang on a minute, there's, they're not like,
We're
they're
all the
just,
same. Yeah.
it's a job that they
Yeah.
do, like all of us. And they're actually really nice, normal people. That was interesting. I didn't win. I got to the finals, had a great time. I didn't win. I got home, and then I'm sitting on my sofa thinking, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I want to just carry on the trajectory that I've got. I love
Hmm.
the ambulance service and everything, but seeing something else now. Got home from work one day and it was midweek, so Tuesday and a Wednesday. The phone goes, the old landline, because we didn't have
Yeah.
mobile phones then. The phone goes. Did you remember John Anderson?
The ref, the
Yeah.
gladiator ref.
God,
Yeah.
yeah, he's just
Gladiators ready.
yes.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
I picked up the phone and I hear that voice saying, "Hello, is that Jane Omorogbe?" And I was like, I said to him, "Yeah." And he said, "Do you know who this is?" And I said, "Well, you sound like the dude off the telly, but clearly that's not possible." And he said, "No, it is. It's John Anderson." And he was like, "How'd you get my number then?" Apparently, he'd got on a train a couple of days before, and somebody had left a discarded Sun newspaper in the carriage. And in the middle of the Sun was a picture of all of us finalists. There was 20 of us, tiny little thumb picture like this of me in a pink swimming costume. And it
Mhm.
just said Jane Morrowby, 6'2", ambulance driver, Hastings. And that was it, alongside everybody else. And he phoned the Sun and said, "Can you give me this girl's number?" And obviously had to confirm that he was John Anderson. And
Uh-huh.
then he rang me and he just said, "I'd like to have a chat."
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
And
So
life
I
weird.
I know I met up with him. I think I did some kind of fitness test, which I failed. I was pretty strong because I've always been into fitness, but Gladiators is another level.
Right.
So he said to me, "You're really interesting, personality wise, character wise. You could be a bit stronger and a bit fitter. Right now, you haven't got what it takes to be a gladiator, but I'll introduce you to a coach." And he can have a look at you, have a meeting with him, and just see what happens. I met this guy called Tony Slaney, who literally changed my life. I feel like crying when I think about it. He's got three kids about my age. He lived in Peterborough, still does. So I went to meet him. I paid somebody who was on holiday to work my shift in the ambulance service so that I could go and meet this guy. And I met him once. He gave me a test, and he said, "Yeah, you're not fit and strong enough, but I could get you there. So here's a program." Went back to the ambulance service, was working my shifts, and I was training in the weekends, training after work, and it was
Mm.
exhausting. I went back the next weekend, and he said, "You can't do this. You've got to commit to it. Like it's not what you're doing is still not enough.
Wow.
So why don't you give up your job?" I was like,
Just like that.
are you insane?" I had bought my house when I was 21. I had a mortgage. Do you know what I mean? I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
no. And he said, you can do this, but you've got to believe it yourself, which means giving up everything and knowing this is going to happen and I'll back you every step of the way. He had a plan B, which is hysterical, but the plan A was train 6 to 8 months, do exactly what I say, don't do anything else, and we'll get you in. So I went back to the ambulance service. I said to my station officer, "Sir, I'm off to seek my fame and fortune on Gladiators." And he said, "Do you want to go and see occupational health?"
Well, folks, this week we have a new episode sponsor. We welcome on board Conqueror's Motorcycle Apparel. If you've been watching any of the tour vids, you've more than likely seen Sam on there. Sam is the owner of Conqueror's Apparel, based down in St Leonard's. They used to be over at the 1066 Biker Calf off the A21. They've now moved to their own premises down in St Leonard's on Sea. It's a great shop, stocked to the gunnels with cracking kit from all the big brands. Get yourself onto the website, which is conquerorsapparel.co.uk, or if you're down in the southeast, head down to St Leonard's and pop in. He might even make you a coffee, but watch the shelf. Either way, if you use the code, wait for it, Fisters10, yes, Fisters10, don't ask, you might even get 10% off. Massive thanks to Conqueror's Motorcycle Apparel for their support. A big shout to Ultimate Add-ons for their continued support. Ultimate Add-ons provide cases for your phones. They're dustproof, they're shockproof, they're waterproof. I've been using their kit for years now. I think 2017, something like that was when I first started using them. They're brilliant. They allow me to use my phone on just about any bike out there. There's pretty much always a way I can get the phone attached to the handlebars or somewhere on the bike, and then I can use that as my navigation. And the Ultimate Add-ons cases just mean that my phone's kept nice and safe. I've had no issues with vibration affecting the cameras. Great bits of kit. They also do action camera mounts. They'll do heated grips. They do balaclavas. They do all sorts. USB and USB-C power adapters for your bike. Loads and loads of different things there. If you head to ultimateaddons.com, you can check out everything they've got on offer there on the website. And if you use the code TeapotOne10, TeapotOne with the number 10, you'll get 10% off. Massive thanks to Ultimate Add-ons.
Really?
Nothing like faith, eh? Faith.
Shall we book an appointment, love? So I jacked my job in. I got a man with a van and said, invited him to my house, and I said, take everything. How much will you give me for the lot? I sold every single thing that wasn't bolted down. I packed a suitcase, and I jumped on a train, crying my eyes out, and I went to Peterborough and went to move in with this guy and his family. They all took me in, like they treated me like family. And I lived with them for about 8 months. And I got up, I trained 3 times a day. I ate what he put in front of me. I slept when he said sleep. I lifted what he said lift. I did plyometrics, taekwondo. He is the highest non-Korean taekwondo expert in Britain. And he was the Olympic coach for Great Britain taekwondo.
Wow. So might know what he's talking about, possibly.
Yeah. His brother is Richard Slaney, who is also an Olympic athlete, and he is married to Mary Decker Slaney. Do you remember the
I remember Mary. Yeah.
So they know what they're talking about. And I trusted him with my life and never looked back.
Wow. Fortune favours the brave, eh?
Well, and
the hard graft that you put in.
The hard graft, but just taking a leap of faith and thinking, what is the worst that can happen? Thanks to the ambulance service, I literally sat there for like a couple of days thinking, he's got a point, what should I do? And then just thinking, if it was over tomorrow, lights out, come on, I've promised myself I'm going to wring everything out of life that I can, so let's do it then.
Yeah. Absolutely. I don't know if you know the back history at all to this podcast and me and what I do, but I'm wearing this shirt that says live your life on it. And the long and short of it is my mum passed away from cancer. Before she died, she said to me, you've always thought about riding a motorbike, you've never done it. You've always thought about traveling the world, you've never done it. Don't get to my stage where you face the end and you regret what you've not done. Look after those that you love, but live your life. And those 3 words literally changed my life. So there and then I promised her I was going to get my bike license. I was going to travel the world. Did it. And then 12 years later, it's taken me down this path where I currently am. But I live by that now. Live your life, go for it. If you want something, commit and just keep going. Don't give up till it happens, basically. You make it happen.
Well, I'm really sorry to hear about your mum, but what a lovely message that she left you with.
Yeah. And that message, those words, seem to sit well with so many people out there, because we all, at some point, we all face loss, don't we? I think just about everybody out there will get to a point in life where you get to a crossroad in life, don't you? Where maybe you're not happy with your current situation or your current lifestyle or whatever it is. You face that point where you have to make a decision, and you either just keep going down the path that you're on and that's it, or you make some changes.
I think when you're in that position, though, because I'm coaching now. I used to coach when I was in my 20s after Gladiators, or around that period, and then I stopped because at that point I was coaching in England, and people were coming to me because they wanted like a celebrity coach, and I was more committed than the clients were, and that didn't sit well with me. Now it's different, and I'm so privileged to be able to help people. But what I was going to say was when I'm faced with someone who is in that crossroads point, sometimes, some people have it within them to just like take a deep breath and change and do it all. And some people need to have somebody beside them just to make the steps so small and so manageable, because they know that they've got this massive change, whether it's lose a bunch of weight or change how they feel about themselves, or be able to look in the mirror and just think, it's okay what I can see. It's not perfect, but I'm okay with it. And sometimes that seems like such a big mountain that you need someone to make the steps so small that you can grab these steps like climbing a ladder. You really need to be able to reach that first rung and hold on to it and think, right, I did that. I'm going to count that as a win and feel good about it.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, sometimes the steps feel too big. I don't mind big steps. It's not how I normally coach, because most people need something really manageable and sequential. But I like just thinking, fuck it, let's just reach the moon, see what happens.
I can be like that, but I find I'm capable of really setting my mind on something, my sights on something, and going for it, no matter how obscure other people might think that is. But I'm also inherently very lazy, and I can just, well, look at the state of me. I've been at the point of almost international rugby and right on it, and then I'm at this point, where you're just like, I'll have that sandwich tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. I'm very good at that. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll row tomorrow. I'll go to the gym tomorrow, and tomorrow doesn't happen for years, and then at some point a switch goes, and then it's like, I'm in. And then that's it. You commit to it for 6 months, 6 years, whatever it is, and then I fall off that wagon again. But never mind. C'est la vie. C'est la vie.
But when you say the switch goes, what happens then? Usually that's a point where you figure out there's a why somewhere. Because when before the switch goes, usually it's like there's not enough reason. And then you get to a point where you think, bloody hell, I've got a reason now. And that's your why. And when you don't have the why figured out, then I always say, like, if anyone is listening, watching, and you're trying to figure out your why, I've got a great worksheet. So just send me a DM and I'll send it to you. It's free, no problem. It's the one thing I always go to, because when you've got your why, that will keep you on track. Determination, willpower is great to get you started, but they will leave you the minute the shit hits the fan. And you need to have your why. That's the thing that keeps you on track.
John, I've never ever thought about the why. There's just a point. I get to a point, and I've been waiting for that point for a wee while, I must admit. But there's always just been a point. It's just come, and it is like a switch goes in my head where I'm like, right, okay, let's commit to this. We're doing it. But I don't think I've not had that for a long time. Probably when I made the decision to do the world trip, and I made that decision in 2008, so it's quite a while ago.
That was your why then, eh?
Yeah, that was then.
Maybe you need to do another world trip.
Don't. I'm so tempted.
I had somebody ask me, and one of the questions I had about this was, would I want to do a world trip like you've done?
Yeah.
The answer is yes. I would absolutely love it. In the days of being a journo, I was traveling, not a world trip like you've done, anything close to it, but just the idea of traveling and being on two wheels. And I would travel probably three days a week on average, almost every single week of the year for a long time. And I loved it. And we didn't have kids then, didn't have the same sort of responsibilities as I've got now. And I loved it. And also, like when I got married, we're not together now, but we're still very respectful and good friends. And when we got married, we went on honeymoon on a bike. So I had a VFR 800. Hunter was very nice, gave me that little bike to go away with, and it was brilliant. And we just got a one-way ticket. We jumped on the ferry and just thought, we got 3 or 4 weeks it was. See what happens.
I love that.
Ride around. Loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it. I went to film Gladiators when our show ended in 99. It was 99, 98, something like that. A bunch of us went out and we filmed another series in South Africa. And the producers of the program sent us tickets to fly out there. And it was a 3 weeks filming period. And halfway through, we said to the three of us, me and Hunter, James
Uh-huh.
Crossley, and Peter Warren, three of us were like, this is really cool to be here. So we asked the production team, like, you've paid for our tickets to get back. Can we delay it a bit? And they were like, yeah, sure. So we stayed for 2 months. We didn't go home for 2 months, the three of us. We had the best time ever. And that's the kind of just the freedom of just, you know, two wheels gives you the freedom of traveling is great, but when you do it on two wheels, it adds like another layer because you
100%.
can go places you can't go
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
a camper or a car. You've got the freedom. And I don't know, in a way, being a female on your own traveling, it gives me a bit of security, knowing I can get away
Yeah.
and I can do what I want. I don't have to ask anyone. I don't have to be with anyone. And you can pick and choose
Mhm.
how you travel.
Yeah.
But being on a bike, it's just, do
You
you know
get
what?
treat. Sorry, go on.
I was going to say I had a Thunder Race. It was my first big bike, and it had like a seat hump at the back. I bought it from a friend of mine, Simon, and it had like a seat hump. I didn't want to carry people, so I
Mhm.
just seat hump at the back.
Won't
And
need that. Yeah.
I emptied it out, and I used to pack everything so that I just had a bum bag when I used to go on like trips to France and stuff and just ride around. And I didn't really have a bag. I'd had like a little tank bag with a map in those days. You didn't have Garmin's and stuff.
Yeah.
And I used to put my waterproofs in the seat hump, and then underneath the seat, I moved like the battery and all the cables and everything. And then I used to put a tiny little bag of like spare underwear, toothbrush, and just stick it. So everything was in the bike. And I
Yeah.
remember one day we did this massive trip in France and we were riding around, best time ever. Came back and we went straight to a track day in Donington. And the people that I was with, the guys I was with were like, for goodness sake, don't crash. Because all the other people here have got carbon fiber, making their bikes as light as possible. I've got a week's worth of underwear and clothes and
Pants will go
waterproof.
fly.
Do not crash. It's all going to be all over the crack.
Brilliant. I love that minimalist style of packing. I've got a mate that comes on my tours, Jose, and he rides an RR, S1000 RR. And when he turned up, the first time I met him, he turned up on one of our tours earlier this year, and you're like, "Where's your bags?" Like you had no bags. You had a tiny little, like a very small, I think 3 litre tank bag. That was it. And we're like, everyone else is on big GSs, adventure panniers, top box. I've got all that and a rucksack with my laptop and everything in it. And he's like, yeah, it's all here. And exactly what you said. He folds everything. He said for years he's been working on minimizing all his kit so he can get everything he needs into that tank bag. And then I think same as you, he puts some stuff under the seat. He shoves stuff down like a leg pocket in his trousers that he wears. And that's it. And I'm like, fair enough. Respect to you.
I used to carry a sarong. If I was going to carry a bag, then I just had like a set things that I would take, and I'd always have a sarong because that you could use for everything. And it was black. I've still got it. It's black, sort of like purpley bits on it, and that way I could use it as a bag. So if I go shopping, it'd be like, what's that nursery rhyme with the guy with a stick and like there's a picture of oh, I don't even know what I'm talking about now. There's like a picture of I can picture it like red fabric with white dots, and there's a stick, and he's got all his stuff tied up. He's all possessions.
I can picture it, but I
Really,
cannot remember
I'm
what
really
the
showing my age now, aren't I?
what.
Anyway, the idea of that, I could go to a supermarket with a sarong, and instead of like needing to carry bags and stuff, I'd put everything in it and tie it and have it. And then if I wanted to go out, I could make a top out of it. I could make a
Mhm.
dress out of it. If I'm we'd go places on our bikes and think, oh, you want to look around this village, and you'd be sweltering hot, like walking about in all your leathers. So I used to have one big long lock, and I'd take my jacket off and feed it down the arm, take my trousers off, feed it down the leg, and then I'd have like always really thin lycra leggings underneath, like
Uh,
bootleg leggings, so
yeah,
I
yeah.
could keep motorbike boots on. And to get undressed, I'd tie the strong man and I'd be like in a car park somewhere getting undressed. It's just phenomenal. You can use it on the beach, lie on it, use it like a towel. One thing,
Well,
anyone listening, get a sarong.
All right. I thought you were going to say there's one thing you can't do with a
No,
sarong.
the one thing, a sarong, you can use it for absolutely everything.
There we go, gents. And thanks to David Beckham, we can wear them too. Let's do it.
Yeah, totally. There's no reason not to do that.
Right, we've jumped somewhat there. So Gladiators, you
Yes,
became Rio
yes,
for
yes.
what was that 95 to 99 or 96 to 99?
Uh, I think I was like 24, so I was born in 71. Yeah, like 95, something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, and it was really surreal because I'd been watching the show
Yeah.
as we did, and I've got a really strong memory of sitting at my girlfriend's house, Mandy, and we'd be watching it, and we'd just be taking the piss, just think. Everyone used to say to me, "You'd be a great gladiator," because I'm massive and I'm brown and sort of always had a bit of muscle. So everyone used to say to me, "You'd make a great gladiator," and it'd be like, "Yeah." Never even occurred to me that it's actually possible
Mhm.
until I met people from telly and thought, oh, so maybe, and then I
Yeah.
started to think. But I remember sitting in her house one day and we were watching it and we used to laugh and say, if you were a gladiator, what would you call yourself? And we had this running gag. We'd be like, I'm light switch, I'll turn you on. I'm washing machine, I'll spin you out. And we used to have all these things we'd say to each other. And then I actually became one. It was just really funny. And the Sun, because they discovered me, they were absolutely amazing. They supported me when I left the ambulance service to go and train with Tony. And I messaged him and said, like, thanks for putting John Anderson in touch with me. I did a test, I wasn't strong enough, but I've decided to give everything up and try and work out and see what happens. But I've got no money. So
Mhm.
they gave me little modeling contracts to help
Wow.
support me. Yeah. And then they ran a big competition when I actually got chosen in the end to find my name. And then they were like, I remember there was this big page and it said, the suggestion was Raven because I'm a blackbird.
God bless his son.
Traitor. I love it. Yeah, they've been really supportive because I went on to do the biker column in the Sun for about
Mhm.
7 years, I think, every Friday. I had my
Wow.
own page in the Sun with Ken Gibson in the motoring section.
Can I ask about the Gladiator name first?
Yes.
We'll get onto the journal stuff. I always wondered who came up with the name. I always just assumed they gave you the name and they assigned it. But can you step forward and go, can I be this?
No, I don't remember doing that. I mean, it's possible. I think they just suggested it, and I was like,
Right.
yeah, sounds fine. And the reasoning was that they said I was friendly and colourful and bubbly like a Brazilian carnival.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And then I came out to her name is Rio, and she
Yeah.
that Duran Duran song. And the first time I came out, I was bricking it. I was not like you can see now. I quite like a babble. I like having a good old chin wag. Um, but I think I'm probably like a really, really, really friendly introvert. So
Wow.
yeah, I'm not like it really hit me in Corona. I was more than happy to just be with my own company, with my
Yeah. Yeah.
son.
Yeah.
Just yeah, I'm not, which is weird considering what I've done. But the first time I came out into the arena, I really just like froze. And in those days, it's I think it's similar now. They come out and you've got like a whole routine and you've got your music and Lightning and Jet did all the flick flacks and Cobra did all his like martial arts stuff. And so Tony, my coach, helped me to figure out some taekwondo moves so that I could just do something because I got long legs, so I learned jumping, turning kicks and things. But I didn't have that. Check me
Mhm.
out. Look at me. I just felt like, what on? I'm an ambulance woman. 8 months later, and I'm in this lycra in front of 10,000 people screaming.
Wow. That must have
It,
been insane
it
filming it there.
did my head in. Don't mind telling you, I really struggled. And lovely story for anyone who's watching the new show. Bradley and Barney Walsh, who are
Mhm.
presenting this new one, um, we had cheerleaders nowadays, and Donna was the head cheerleader, and she was dating then Bradley, and at the end she was pregnant with Barney.
Oh,
And
wow.
she really, really, really helped me. There was Donna and another girl called Debbie. They saw that I was struggling and they took me aside and they worked and worked and worked on my confidence, head up, chest out. They gave me some moves to do. And I literally just practiced it and practiced so that I didn't have to think too much. And I came out and I had like this little routine that helped me to figure it out because it did not come naturally at all. So I have her to thank for getting my confidence up a bit. They call it imposter syndrome now, don't
Yeah.
they?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. But I mean, you must have that time where you met the famous people and it sort of like flicked the switch, it set the light off in your head that, oh, hang on, they're no different to me and normal people here. You must have returned to that sort of thought, surely, when you were becoming this person in the limelight, you were becoming that famous person. Did you think to yourself, well, we are just normal people. So if you're struggling with things, did you not think to yourself, well, they must be too then? All those other people that look mega confident, the ones that are by my side here, they all look really confident, but surely they must have the same feelings, or were they just really confident people?
Yeah, I think some had their own issues with the whole attention because it was very different in those days, right? We only
Mm,
had um like 4 channels on TV. We had like
yeah.
18 million viewers.
Mm,
Um, we used to get like bags of post to sign and then put a stamp on everything and send it back. And they'd been doing it a long time. Like I joined, I think it was 4 years old or something when I joined. So
mhm,
Jet and Hunter and Cobra and Saracen, they'd all been doing it for so long. They probably felt like that in the beginning,
mm,
but when I'd been doing it 4 years and I found my feet with it. But I think so in a way, yeah, everyone has their own, obviously has their own things to deal with, but and also some people like that sort of attention. It's like
mm.
part of what drives you. I remember when I started doing the TV presenting later, and a producer said to me, the difference between you and some of the other people that we have as presenters is you do it because you like the subject, which was the bikes. I just generally wanted to tell people about British Superbikes or this bike that I'm riding, whatever. And some people do it because they want to be famous or they want to be a TV presenter. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah.
And I just kind of fell into it because I don't know, I just fall into these things.
But you have a genuine love and interest and passion for what it is that you're involved with, don't you? And that comes
Seems,
forward. That,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I think that's like the because sometimes that's a hindrance though, because I might not be as polished
Mm,
as some presenter who is working on those skills because
get you.
that's the goal.
Get you.
But for me, it was different. So yeah, I do hear what you're saying that everybody has their own issues and their own things, but from where I was standing at back in those days,
Yeah.
everybody looked super confident.
Yeah. Different in those times, though. As you said, 4 channels or 5 channels on the TV. It's different. These days, we're surrounded by social media, aren't we? And almost for, in my life, my life is on YouTube and social media. And I think people almost prefer that unpolished, natural, real persona. They want you to be you because it's almost like anyone that pretends to not be who they are, well, people smell bullshit, don't they? At the end of the day, it's
Yeah,
very
yeah,
easy, and they have no affinity to that. If they want for the likes of for me, for what I do, if I'm reviewing a bike or reviewing a bit of kit or doing something like that, people want to feel like they can trust you. So you
yeah.
can I kind of feel like you've got no option but to be yourself, because if you're not, people go, well, you're full of geek. Why should I believe what you're saying? Because you're not even being you here. But
Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
can see how back in those days when it was different and everything was polished and yeah, different times, different
Yeah, and
times.
also I've noticed watching the new show, especially with the contenders as well, the Gladiators. Oh, they're just. I went to see the show. I took my son because I've been telling him I was doing it. Have you seen this? Look, Mummy used to do that, and I showed him some YouTube stuff. But
Yeah.
obviously, it's just YouTube, so it doesn't give you the same like being in the arena. So we went to see it. Hungry Bear sent us some tickets. We went in August, I think it was, and it was just brilliant to just be. I mean, the arena's a bit smaller than ours, the crowd is a bit smaller, but you still get the vibe of it.
Yeah.
And just to show him what it was all about was brilliant. But what I was going to say was, I go off on tangents here. Um, it's noticeable that because most people have social media, they're used to filming themselves and they're used to seeing themselves and they're used to like, it's actually practicing. You don't necessarily need a TV producer to give you your big break. You can just do it yourself.
Yeah.
And so the way that people deliver and come across is very different. It's like they've all been on telly for years and years because they've been doing this social media. I didn't even have social media until about 18 months ago. Like
You kidding?
none of it.
Where have you
I
been?
avoided it. I've said
Oh,
I'm not like I didn't want to do it. I'm like my life, me.
no, yeah, I get that. Yeah.
I just thought, yeah, it was about 18 months ago. I thought someone was talking to me about Instagram, and I was like, "What? How's that work then?" So I got myself little bit of social, and I quite like it
Yeah,
so far.
it's good when you dip your toe in it, and if you determine how much of it you're doing and what goes out. I kind of find sometimes with me, there's almost like an expectation from people that you need to be putting stuff up there every day, and
Mhm.
this is my job at the end of the day now. And I kind of feel maybe I should be putting stuff up every day, but sometimes I'm like, well, I've just spent the day sat in front of my computer editing. There's nothing to put out there. So why? Well, it's a cup of tea. Why put stuff out? I'm a bit old school when it comes to that. And then I look at other people that are putting out just content, constantly putting out content, and it does keep you up there because you're constantly in people's feed, aren't you, when you're doing it stuff like
Oh
that?
yeah.
But I just kind of. I think I become very stubborn. I am very stubborn. I know that. There's no think. I am very stubborn. And I dig my heels in sometimes with some things and probably to my own detriment, as
Well,
far as
I think you're doing pretty well, aren't you? Really?
yeah, I mean, yeah, somehow. I don't know how, but yeah, somehow
You're
it's
doing all
the
right.
dream's carrying on somehow. So long may that continue. Right. Gladiators.
Yes.
From Gladiators, the TV series, to the film. How did that
Oh
happen?
yeah.
You're a Hollywood. You were in a
Um,
Hollywood blockbuster.
no, do you know, but every time people like ask me, how did you do this and how did you do that? The story's just, if I tell you the truth behind it, it just feels like, what? How did that? Do you know there
Now I
used to
need
be
to know.
there was a show that I loved called Quantum Leap when I was
Yeah.
little.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I loved the idea that you could just jump in someone else's life and experience that. And then, like I'm saying about ringing out like different experiences, that just stuck with me forever. Like I want to just try that and then I'm done. Try that, and then I'm
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
So the film, um, in the last year or two of Gladiators, a new guy joined our team called Daz. His real name was Daz, Darren Crawford, and his gladiator name was Diesel. And
Mhm.
he was an actor, and he always aspired to be an actor, like full time, proper Hollywood. That was his thing. But in the meantime, he was a gladiator for a bit, and we became really, really good friends. He just like if you see us together, we look like brother and sister. We're same color, same height. He's so funny. I really got on well with him. And he sent me a message one day and just said, I've been for a film audition for this thing. It was Gladiator, but we didn't obviously know what it was going to be.
Mhm.
And I didn't get it because they said I was too good looking. You said, oh, you should get
Well,
they're looking for
thanks.
rugged people. Obviously, now I know what he meant, but at the time I was just wetting myself laughing. What? And he said, and so they're looking for, he said, attractive and athletic black girls. And I thought of you. And I was like, oh, thanks. He said, you should go along. And I said, yeah, but I don't really want to do acting. It's not really my thing. And he said, just go along. You never know. So I thought, well, why not? It was in London. I was around. So I gave him a call, got an interview meeting, whatever you call it audition. And I went into this room and there was a sheet of paper and you had to tick your skills. I didn't realize this was a job for a stunt woman.
Mhm.
I just thought, I don't even know what I thought. He just said go. So I went. And I had to tick all these skills. And it was like horseback riding and like flame stuff and everything that stunt people do was on this list. So I ticked it all. because
Got
I
to be in it
thought,
to win it.
exactly, I thought if I get the job and I need one of these skills, I will learn it really, really quickly. So I'm just going to
How
tick everything.
hard can it be, June?
Yeah, exactly. And I think it must have been obvious that if she's ticked everything, she clearly can't do any of it. Like, do you know what I mean? So I ticked everything and I got the job. Got the job. And then unbeknown to me, Pauline, who was Rocket in our series as well, she'd also approached them through another channel and also got the job. And they were looking for a third. So I called Jenny, who was Rebel in our show, and said, Jen, I just got this job on a film, and they're looking for people that look like us. Why didn't you like? And so she went for it and got in as well. So the three of us ended up filming in Malta for a couple of months. Yeah, it was brilliant. And we first went out there and we had to learn archery because it was one of the skills that we're supposed to really be able to do. So we had to learn archery. I think we had like 2 or 3 weeks learning. I had big bruises on my
Yeah.
arm. Yeah. And so we learned it standing still. And then we had to learn it out of the back of the chariot because the whole thing is going to be moving, which like that's another layer added. Yeah, and I think we were there for a couple of months. And at the end, there was a period where we had to film the last ever Gladiators series for England.
Mhm.
So we flew, it was like proper for like 2 weeks. I was a film star. I was filming this movie. We didn't know it was going to be what it was going to be. And then we flew back to England to film the TV show. And then we flew back to finish the film. It was brilliant.
How long between filming the film and it actually coming out? What was its sort of time scale?
No idea. I don't know. It was done, wasn't it? So I was like moved on. I don't
Did you
remember.
think it
I've
was
only
going to
seen
be
it
what it
once.
was? What?
I don't know. I have no idea. I've seen it once. We were sent an invitation to go and watch the screening in London. I went to that and
And you never
that's
saw it in the film in the cinema, like with the public?
no. I've seen bits of it on telly when people are saying, "Oh, it's on tonight," but I've somebody sent me like the VHS thingy, or I don't know. Was it VHS then? I don't remember.
Yeah,
No, I went
yeah,
to see it in London with everybody, and that was really fun. And this is another. There's so many funny stories from that. If you've seen it, I get cut in half.
yeah.
Right?
I mean, that is it's an iconic part of the film.
Yeah. How cool is that? That's a really good bit. So I get cut in half, and to how they do it, I don't know if I'm allowed to say, but I'm going to because it's
Of course you
fascinating.
can. Tell us.
So I had to go somewhere in London, just outside of London, and just looking because my son's getting up. So I had to go and I had to get in the position that I'm going to die. So basically, on my knees like this, right? Just wearing underwear. That's it. And then two guys came in with a big pot of what looked like Nivea,
Uh-huh.
and they said, "Do you want to do your nipples or shall we?" And I was like, "What are you
Well,
talking about?"
whilst you're here,
Oh, so basically, they covered me all over in this like cream,
yeah.
and then they put the bandage on, like when you break your arm. That's
Mhm.
how I remember it. It's probably much more scientific than that, but and the cream stops it sticking to you.
Yeah.
So you're in this position. They make the mold, and then they sort of like you wiggle out of it, and then they've got the mold of you,
Yeah.
and then they do something similar, but with like a gooey substance for the head. So
Mhm.
it just looked amazing. And then the body itself, the legs were, if I might be wrong, if anyone actually made this model of me and I'm like talking out of my bum because I don't remember, this is how I remembered it. One leg was hollow and it had like an air sort of pump thing in, and the other leg had the blood in, the fake blood, obviously. And then
Mhm.
my torso was put on top. So when the scene happened, I had to do the stunt itself, which is another really interesting story. And then they put the fake body in, and the blade comes along. They fire the air out, which shoots the torso off, and then they
Mhm.
fire all that is under the sand. They fire another thing, and all the blood comes out. And when you see it, you just think nobody is going to buy that. It
Yeah.
looks really like really. But I looked at the screen while it's being filmed, and it's just what you see, what you see. It's like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. Power of the edit, eh?
Incredible. Yeah, really good. But to do that scene itself, so I had to be on my knees with this chariot racing towards me because the blade was like a rubber blade and it was on the wheel. So the blade's like this long, not massive. So I had to be this close to the wheel so that the blade could hit me.
Mm-hmm.
So can you imagine? I'm not a stunt woman, so I don't have any experience
You
of this.
tick the box, Jane.
Tick the boxes. I'm kneeling on the floor in the sands, and there's a freaking great horse in front of me charging full
Wow.
pelt. The rattle of the wheels, the sound, you can hear it. And I'm kneeling in front of it. And I'm not, because they put me in my spot and they drew a line where my knee was not allowed to move. And they said, whatever happens, do not move. And I was like, okay, like I'll follow instructions. But only when this horse started, I was like, okay, not move.
Life choices.
Yeah, and I saw afterwards where I was that there's a line in the sand, my knee, and then the wheel passes like this.
Wow.
And afterwards, the guy in the chariot was a little Italian man, and he said that he couldn't see me because he was not very tall. And so he's in the chariot and you've got the horse,
Yeah.
and I'm on the floor somewhere down there.
Wow.
So that's why everything had to be exactly, we're going to go here, you do that, and nobody moves because he couldn't see where I was until, like, you're right. So in the film, when I think I did one take. That was all that was needed because I was so terrified. You just see a look at my, and I had to like throw myself back when I felt it, and then they put the fake one in and they did the other bit. And then after he said to me, "You can scream if you want," but nothing could come out. I was so terrified.
Yeah.
I couldn't make a noise. Do you know what I mean? I was just like.
We're also supported by the Influencer Store. I'll read out their blurb. The Influencer Store helps you build your brand, big or small, providing you with a solution and apparel. We help you to increase your fan base while supporting you with starting your own influencer clothing line with nothing more than just an idea or design, and there are no hidden costs. For more info, come check us out at theinfluencerstore.co.uk or drop us an email at online@influencerstore.co.uk for more information. Now, I've been using the Influencer Store to handle all my merch pretty much for the last 4 years now. If you head to my website, TeapotOne.com, if you go to the store there, the shop where all the merch is, that's all handled by the Influencer Store. And if you buy anything from there, you're also helping me out and helping to support the podcast. So a massive thanks to them. Lastly, a huge shout out to each one of you, everyone that's listening to the podcast, everyone that watches on YouTube, everyone that watches the normal vids over on the TeapotOne channel. Just by watching the vids, by giving it a little thumbs up, sharing, commenting, things like that, you really do help the channel out. You help to boost it up in the algorithm. If you share it amongst your friends, that is a massive win. That's a huge win at the moment. So if you could do that, I'd really appreciate it. If you're listening to the podcast on your favorite podcast platform, if it's something like Apple or Spotify, a couple of other ones, you're actually able now to rate the podcast, whether that's leaving like a 5-star review or a thumbs up or commenting or leaving a comment on each episode. All these things really do help to boost the podcast up in the rankings. So if you could do that, it would be greatly appreciated. And to every single one of you over in the clan, patreon.com/TeapotOne, I literally couldn't do this without all your support. So a huge thank you from me. Right, let's get back to the podcast. I love that film. I love that film. Did you? Oh, I love it. I absolutely. It appeals to something. I don't know. Maybe I think maybe blokes in particular. I don't know, but it appeals to something deep down in me. Things like Braveheart, you know, and that sort of film. It just appeals to, like, I don't know, the inner sort of animal bloke in you that how would I survive in those times? You know what I mean? Like, would you survive in those days? How would you do? God knows.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tricky. Yeah, it was a really, really amazing experience. Like Oliver Reed, met him, and
I was going to
obviously
ask, did you meet any of them?
back in Phoenix, and Russell Crowe, obviously, Jaimin. It was just such an incredible opportunity, and another one of those like, I'm gonna ring this out.
Yeah, yeah,
Just
yeah. Did you
enjoy
have
the whole thing.
did you have the same feeling with, those big A-list celebs that, oh, they're just normal people? Did you have
100%.
did you?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I remember going out for dinner with Jaimin and his girlfriend at the time. He's the really, really dark skinned guy in it.
Mhm, mhm.
And there was me and Jenny. I think Pauline was there, a couple of the stunt men, like, because we were in the stunt group. So
Yeah.
we all hang out together. One of the guys was Wesley Snipes' stunt man.
Wow.
Just the stories that they tell, it was phenomenal. But yeah, once you get chatting, and back in Phoenix, I'm not sure if I say his name correctly. He came up one day and we were just one of the thousands of extras. Do you know what I mean? We're not like, we didn't have a trailer or anything. We were just with the mass. And I
Yeah.
remember him coming over and just saying, "How you having a nice experience? And, are you enjoying it?"
Oh, that's
And then there
cool.
was another time I was in, that was like a big tent for food, like breakfast, lunch, all that stuff. And I was having dinner and I was sitting on this table by myself, having a bite to eat. And this guy came over and he just said, "Oh, you're having a good time?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's amazing." And he was like, "What's your experience?" And we were chatting away. And then somebody said to me, "That was Ridley Scott, don't you?" Oh, really? Just super friendly, nice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Sometimes it's not great to meet your heroes, but very often it's lovely because they're just normal people.
Hmm. Hmm. Awesome. Love it. Great message.
Yeah.
I could chat to you for hours and hours and hours, Jane. I'm very conscious that we've got about another half hour. Was that about right?
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Obviously, I want to know how you got into bike journalism and then where you are now. How about we cover that as we go through questions because people are going to ask stuff which we can, adapt and
Yeah. No worries.
mold. Right. So first off, we'll head to the clan over on Patreon. So it's patreon.com/TeapotOne. First question we got here. Tommy Lindley. How you doing, Tommy? Hello, both of you. Hope you're doing well. Question for Bruce. If you were a gladiator, what would your name be? Oh, sheesh.
And why?
Wow. Uh, oh, God. I don't normally get asked questions. It's normally directed at the. We has got one for you next. What would my name be? Bloater. That would do.
Bloater. What would be your favorite game?
I quite fancy. Is it Gauntlet? The one where there's the channel and you have to
Yeah.
run through that one. I always think to myself, because they always look too high. Like my rugby days, I'm like, get low, hit low, and
Yeah.
drive through. Just keep going.
Yeah.
But I'm 48
Love
now, and I'm
it.
not sure I could get that low anymore.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, you could.
Question for Jane: do you prefer any particular type of riding, track, off-road, touring, etc.? And if
Oh,
so,
what a
why?
lovely question.
Yeah.
I want to say no instinctively because I feel like every kind of riding gives you the opportunity to learn a completely different skill.
Mm,
So I've done, and through having the privilege of presenting different motorcycle shows, I've been lucky enough to have the opportunity to try all kinds of stuff. So I've done off-roading with the BMW off-road course. And I went to the Super Tenere presentation
mm.
in, so I rode from Lisbon to Marrakesh. I was the
Oh,
only
wow.
journalist to be invited on that in the world. It was
Were you?
such an honor. Yeah. The main journalist launch was from um, somewhere else to Lisbon. And then they had a competition where they invited members of the public. I think there were 7 people who were invited to do this leg from Lisbon to Marrakesh. And at the end, we delivered the bikes to Riders for Health, I think it's called,
Mm.
Randy Mola's
Yeah, yeah. Mm.
organization. And they had one journalist accompany the public on that bit, and I did that bit. So it was a real honor. But so off-roading, I did some because I presented Speedway, so I had the fortune to try Speedway. Not
Wow.
easy. Oh my goodness. I've tried Santa Pod, like 0 to 60s, high speed stuff. I've ridden like 320 brake horsepower, full wheelie bars. Oh, just press the button till you get to the end. And I got to the end. It was at Santa Pod, and I remember the guy said to me, "When you want to slow down, don't just shut the throttle because you'll shear the cogs off." I'm not technical. I was like, whatever, just do what I'm told. I got to the end and I thought, I can't remember what he said. I
Was it
can't
shut
remember what
up?
he said. And as I passed, I remember seeing like fire trucks and, ambulances and thinking, oh my God, how do I slow this thing down? Track riding, absolutely loved. So I raced as well, endurance racing. And I did 3-hour endurance racing in a championship called the No Budget Cup, which
Yeah,
my ex-partner started it in Belgium, and it became the biggest national championship in Belgium.
Wow.
And the premise was you just buy something off eBay for like £1,000, 1,500 quid. You fettle it a little bit, like literally just take the number plate and the mirrors off. You don't need a license, and it's 3 hours. So you and a buddy and team of three, if you like, maybe make the tank a little bit bigger. So I took that and brought it to England, and I got the ACU to change the race license, the whole premise, so that we could make this an actual championship, because it didn't exist. None of the structure existed in England. You had to have a race license if you're going to race.
Yeah.
I had a big meeting with the ACU, and they were really open-minded. They hadn't changed the rule book in 100 years, and they changed the rules, and it became a championship in England. And I ran that for a couple of years, raced in it myself, not in England because I was organising that one, but I raced in it in Belgium, and I actually raced this. Some people are going to hate this, but this is the truth. I did a race pregnant. I was 2 months pregnant, something like that, with my son. Got the best result of the season because it was pouring with rain. I had an SV 650, 70 brake horsepower at the back wheel. Wow, on a good day. So it was like tortoise in the hare, just don't crash, don't crash.
Yeah.
People were coming past me on the straights, and I was like, just take it easy. And we qualified 43 out of 46 because we had engine problems in qualification, so we basically didn't even get on track. And then we finished 13th. So I was really happy with that, and I was pregnant at the time. People that needed to know knew about it, and nobody else did. And I actually did a launch for Aprilia. Really going off on tangents here. We need to book another call, I think.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a part 2, isn't there?
Yeah, I did a launch for Aprilia. And I think it was a Dorset Duo and something on track. Listen to me, I don't even know. RSV, something.
There's been so many.
Yeah, I because if you're traveling every single week, it's literally like get on, ride, get off, get on, ride.
Yeah.
And I remember passing this dude on track, and I was close to 3 months pregnant. There were some people that thought I really shouldn't be out there. Some people were like, whatever, it's fine. It's not like I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm on a track with professionals. It's not, there are some people that ride horses pregnant. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's by the by. I'm sure you got your opinion. You can message me if you like to know more about it.
Don't open that can of worms.
Yeah. I went on, I don't have to answer. I ran on track, and I passed this guy, and he was Dutch, and he didn't know that I could speak Dutch and understand it. And we went upstairs later for a cup of tea, and I could hear him saying in Dutch, "You might as well cut my balls off. I've just been overtaken on track by a woman, a pregnant woman." Really funny. So yeah, in answer to that really long answer, I think every single style of riding gives you the opportunity to learn something else. And when you do things like off-road riding and speedway and, drifting, I've done that in cars and tried to do it on bikes, not very good at it, either on cars or on bikes. But it gives you the skills so that when you are on track, like I did some days with Kevin Carmichael learning how to wheelie. And those things, when you are in a situation where perhaps you've given it a bit too much throttle, you don't panic in the same way. If you've never had the front wheel up, at least you know a little bit more, you've got a bit more skills to draw on. So I liked all of it. And if I had to pick, no, I can't pick. No, I can pick road riding and traveling and on track and not off-road. My level of skill is here, and my enthusiasm is here, and that is not a good mix.
Yeah. I'm getting to the stage. I'm getting to the stage where I'm starting to enjoy off-road. I used to think, how does anyone enjoy this? This is just torture. I hate it because I'm very comfortable on the road. Put me off-road, no idea what I was doing. I would get through stuff, but not really sure how you tackle stuff or how I got through stuff. I've done a wee bit now to the point where I'm starting to laugh and put a little smile on my face rather than just go, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. But I still don't feel comfortable, and everyone just says it's just more time, just keep doing it, keep doing it. I'm like, I'll do it if I've got to do it, but it's not my choice. I'll stick to the tarmac personally. Can I ask, you spoke about track riding. What was it like to ride Christopher Mulin's MotoGP bike?
Coolest thing in the world.
Oh, I saw that picture. No way.
Yeah, it was really cool. I was supposed to be riding, who was his teammate then? I was supposed to be riding a different one, but because I didn't have any experience with race shift, they put me on Chris's bike because he had road shift.
Yeah.
And then obviously you don't want to be going the wrong way on a
Yeah. Might not end well.
So and I remember being the only woman in the pit lane, the only female journalist on that day. There's probably some others, but not that many girls in my day in that job. And yeah, it was, just drop my pen. It was really exciting because you don't know what to expect. It's a MotoGP bike, so it's going to be pretty ferocious. But will that happen? Will I open the throttle and just like be overwhelmed, or can I actually ride it? So all the anticipation, but actually I was supposed to be testing it as a journalist. It's not a test, is it? I'm just lucky enough to have the experience of being like a sort of passenger that's got a little bit of control. Did I need all the gears? Absolutely not. I tried them just to see what would happen. I just felt very conscious that there's no side stand or anything. So don't just get scared and just want to put it on the side. As I only had two, you have a warm-up lap, a lap, and then you come in. That's it, huh?
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
That's it. There's no time to get used to it. There's no 20 minutes. It's you go round, you do a lap. All the pictures have to be done in that lap. So you better blooming get it on its ear.
Yeah.
You've got one chance and you can't have a daisy picture. So I just thought, again, this is one experience. I'm just gonna.
I mean, you're literally dragging your shoulder in the picture I've seen. It's proper.
Got my knee on the deck. I don't have my shoulder, but I just thought I've got to just.
Let me big it up.
I want to see. I don't want to look back and just think I didn't try.
Yeah.
But you can look fast in a picture, can't you? Do you know what I mean?
Simon says this to me all the time. He's like, "Come on, act quick," and I'm just like, "Act quick." Because I was trained by the police, on the bike, so I'm like bolt upright when I'm on the bike. He's like, "Lean off it." No. Someone's going to hit me with a ruler if I lean off it. I can't. You're not allowed to do that.
You said you used to do police riding then when you're in the police force.
I finished my career in diplomatic protection. Like the folk that stand outside number 10 or the embassies, consulates around London. That's basically where I'd moved to, and they had a motorcycle wing, not the Outriders for the PM or the Queen. That's a different one. But we had a division. So just if there was an alarm, if any of the embassies hit alarms or you had to get somewhere quick within the diplomatic community, then we had bikes that would do that, and cars as well. So I'd just done my bike course before. I think things happened because of my YouTube life that ultimately led me to go, I think my time here is done. And one of those pivotal moments that we were talking about. So I'd literally just passed the course and was ready to go down that life. And it ended up, situation arrived, presented itself. I got the option to leave. So I did. And now here we are.
I've got to say, I passed my bike test, and I knew I passed it because I wanted to be a bike journalist. So I couldn't ride a bike before. It was another one of those, let me just
Go
change my
for it.
life and do it.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
my ex-husband at the time was a motorcyclist, and Gladiators had ended, and he said, we were like, what am I going to do? Like, what am I going to do? I'm 30 and I want a job. And
Mhm,
so he said to me, "Oh, there's no women in the motorcycle industry. Like if I look," he showed me all these magazines. He said, "There's no women other than in pictures,
mhm.
but just have written a story or something. You know, we're talking a while back.
Yeah.
Why don't you be a bike journalist?" And I was like, "I don't know how to ride a motorbike." So I phoned a local company. They kind of gave me the opportunity to do the test, which I did. And then I called my two uncles that I said were advanced
Uh-huh.
motorcycle instructors. And I had like a week with them. And then I jumped on a ferry and I rode for a week, like 10 hours a day. Literally, I must have done about 3,000 miles or something in that week, just ride this road, do it again, do it again, do it again, do it again. Call my uncle, like, give you advice, I couldn't handle that corner, like, do it again, do it again. And then I came back and then I did every course I could find, like California Superbike School, off-road stuff, just, wheelie schools, just rack it in. But one of the things I also did was did the test myself to become an advanced motorcyclist instructor.
Mhm.
So I did that course. I got a distinction, but I do kind of like go for everything like
Yeah, yeah,
100%,
yeah.
like ring it out. And that really helped me because when I became a bike journo, I was riding with people like Simon and Nevesy that had been riding forever, that
Uh-huh.
grew up loving bikes, that were fanatical about bikes as kids, that watched all the bike racing. I hadn't seen any of it. I didn't know the back end of one bike to another. I literally my ex used to test me like, name a 600 sports bike that Honda makes. And I'd
Uh-huh.
be like, RXCB, what is the name again? Like I literally learned them
Yeah.
until I could like feel it. I just learned them. But doing that advanced riding really helped me. I mean, you all know what I'm talking about. Being able to keep up with somebody
Mhm.
safely
Yeah.
that has that experience, I had to learn some tricks, some tools to be able to read the geometry of a bend before I'm even in it, so
Mhm.
that I don't get in the bend and think, oh,
It gives you
you know,
time, doesn't it? Gives you
oh,
time. So you're not rushing everything. Yeah.
yeah, it was just invaluable. And it turned out like because I started teaching after a while with my uncles and the cornering side of stuff, road positioning, I just think, yeah, brilliant. It's so interesting, so
Mm.
interesting. And it gave me the opportunity to try and hang on the back of people that have been riding for 20 years.
Well, you've answered that question because in my head, I was like, I've got to ask, how did you get into bike journalism? How did that happen? And it seems like it's just another one of those pivotal moments where you go, fancy that, let's go for it.
Yeah, yeah. I
Love
couldn't
it.
ride a bike at all. I
Love it.
just thought, let me try that. It looks like fun. No one else
Why,
is doing it, so
why not? Again, set your sights on something, make it happen.
yeah,
Love it.
yeah. Kind of what I'm about.
Right. Question two of about 40. Rebecca Christie. Hey, both. That's a superstar resume that you have there, Jane. Respect to you. Question for Jane. What has been your funniest, oh my God, that's a woman moment? Mine was when I got pulled for speeding on the M4, and even though he had an AMPR, he still gasped when I took my helmet off. Well, you must
Mm.
have had loads of them, surely back in those days.
Yeah, I remember riding to an event, Bedford Aerodrome, I want to say, I don't know. It was an event where the public could go and test different bikes. The police were there. They had like an event. You could sign up and do an outright, like test a bike,
Uh-huh.
and the police would top and tail you to give you the opportunity to test ride. And I was living in Belgium then, where I live now, and I went over on some cow sports bike. I don't even know what it was now. I remember sitting at some traffic lights and I had a black visor on, and two police officers rode up behind me, and I could feel them just looking like, it's not an English plate.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
because you can see my dreads. She's got a black visor on the road in the daytime. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm thinking, here we go. So they rode up beside me, and I could see them looking, and I opened my visor and said, "Hello," and they just literally. Oh, looking at
That's
my neck.
real.
No, it was like there's a woman
Yeah,
on
yeah,
her own who's ridden from another country. Are we going in the same place, are we? Like,
yeah,
what on earth?
yeah.
So I think that was cool. And another version, when I moved to Belgium, I moved on a jigsaw fowl. So I
Best
got
bike in the
my
world.
some of my possessions came in a lorry, but the rest of it, I actually got side panniers, tank bag, rucksack, the whole lot. And I got on the ferry, on the train, sorry, on the Euro tunnel. And I had my bike up on the side stand. And I'm sitting on the floor because there's nowhere to sit on those things, is there?
Mm.
And all these other bikers, it was like there was a whole bunch of people that they would come over and said, "Oh, are you on your own?" I said, "Yeah." And they were like, "You got a lot of stuff for a little trip?" Like taking the piss. Oh, women, they like to pack big, don't they?
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
said,
yeah,
"I'm
yeah.
moving house." And they went, "You're moving house on your own on a jigsaw bow? What?" Yeah, so that was another one of those moments. I expect you to be accompanied by a man.
Oh God. Do you
Like
still
that.
get that? Do you still
Mm,
feel you get that?
I think I don't really give people the opportunity too much to
Mm.
go too far down that route. They might
Right.
start off like that, but less so.
Mm. It's interesting because like I've had other YouTube moto vlogger folk on this podcast, and I've had people from every background and every role within life on here. It's not always to do with bikes. I have all sorts of people on here, as long as they've got a story to tell. And if it's a woman, especially in the bike world, they always get asked about this, like, what's your experience of being a woman in biking? And for me as a bloke, obviously it's totally different. I can't appreciate what it's like for a woman. But as a bloke, like I'm not surprised. Personally, I'm not surprised to see a woman out on a bike or anything. Not anymore. I think maybe even back in say 2008 when I first started riding, yeah, okay, wasn't a common thing, but now it is. Now it's common to see a woman out on a bike or a group of women out on a bike and doing their thing. You get women-only track days, women-only events. So it always strikes me. I always think when some women say to me, "Oh well, it still is hard for us to get into biking, and we do get ostracized or we do get made to feel different to men." I always think to myself, is that still the case? Because I don't feel that way. But again,
I
as I
think
said, I'm not a woman.
I, I had to I was asked, privileged again, to be asked by Richard Newland to write something for MCN.
Moby, yeah.
My experience of being a black biker,
All right.
because there aren't that many, or wasn't in that day. It was, a period where it was in the news quite a bit about how some people of color are not treated very kindly by
Mm,
some other.
mm,
So I wrote something, and they had a little pull out about it. And I remember writing in that I have not experienced any negativity or any disadvantage from being black, woman of color, brown, or whatever you want to call it, this shade. And I had more experience um, of those kinds of things because I was female.
oh,
So,
wow.
yeah. And so I think what we're talking about is just being different
Mm,
and being expected. So whether you're disabled, whether you're very large, whether you're tiny, whether you're male, whether you're female, if it's what somebody doesn't expect to see, that's when the prejudice can come in, because
mm,
they've not had that experience of having a relationship or an interaction with somebody they can't relate to, because perhaps they've never experienced it. But if you, Bruce, have had interactions with female bikers, then of course it's not going to seem
mm,
odd, because you're like, well, yeah,
mhm,
why not? But if it's the first time that you've seen a disabled biker or a black biker or a female biker or a biker that's, 20 kilos over what you would consider to be able to be fit on a bike, do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Those things. So I think it's just about the unknown that makes people feel a bit uncomfortable.
yeah.
And it's up to us to be the change you want to see in the world.
This is it. Well,
Yeah.
I found when I rode around the world, I'm going to get loads of abuse
So
for saying that.
cool. We
But
just When I rode around the
Yeah, I
world,
know.
how cool is
People
that?
people run a book to see how long it'll be before I mention it, this sort of stuff, you know.
That
But
is so
but
cool.
when I did the trip, I did it on a Gixxer Thou. That's, you know, that's my bike. It's why I say best bike in the world. And that, I don't know if it was because, well, I know it wasn't just because I did it on that bike, because lots of other people I know who've done it on every type of bike you can think of, they all say the same thing, is that when you travel and you meet people from far distant countries, from different cultures, different religions, different colors, you know, just you meet everybody. And as you said before, when you ride a bike, when you travel on a bike, you don't just arrive in a place, do the thing, and then leave. You travel to it. You travel through that country. So you travel through the outsides of the cities. You travel through the real country. You meet the real people. You smell it. You taste it. You feel it. It's a real visceral experience, isn't it, being on a motorbike? And what really, really struck me was that with very, very few exceptions, probably I could count on one hand, we're all the same. Everyone's the same. No matter what language they speak, what country they're from, we're just all the same. Everyone is out to look after their family, but they will help you. If they can help you, they will
Yeah.
help you. Even if that's just, you know, please sleep outside my house, or sleep inside my house, or would you like a drink? You know, they might not speak
Yeah.
English. I might not speak their language, but I had an experience in Russia, middle of nowhere in Russia, where a bloke at a petrol station literally sort of did this, you know, like that, sleep. So I pointed to the tent on the front of my bike and pointed to the field. And he looked at me and he was like, Niet, no, no, no. Like, come, like this. So I followed him and ended up in this wood, in a wooden shack, you know, a wooden hut with the smoke coming out the chimney. We went in, and there's his wife, his missus. She's there and she's cooking away, and she's just turned around, looked at me and smiled, and obviously said something on the lines of, "Who's this?" to her husband. They said something. Next thing, you know, they gesture, sit down, and she gives me a big bowl of borscht, which is like a stew. And I spent the whole evening there, you know, drinking vodka. And I don't speak Russian, they don't speak English, but we had the conversation. We got by. And that was just repeated all around the world. Just so I came back from that. It did me a world of good, because especially within the police, you become very skeptical, you become very distrusting, because in the police, certainly within London, the vast majority of people that you end up dealing with, they're either very suspicious of you because of past experiences or what the media tells them, or they've got something to hide. You know what I mean? Like, you tend to deal with people in the extremes of their life, whatever that is. And just that really does wear you down. And I found I'd become a very skeptical, very distrusting person by that point in my life. So going traveling really sort of reset the switch, I think. And it totally changed me as a person for what I feel is the better, hopefully. And it's just really stuck with me ever since, you know, and that all the bollocks that we get shown in the media about these people from this place and those people from that place, I just always remember in my head, that's bollocks. They're just people. They're just people like we are. So, you know, forget all the crap that you're fed about these places and these people. We're all just people. We'd be exactly the same put in that environment, wouldn't we? Whatever it is that they're doing. So yeah, that's something that has really changed me and hopefully helped me for the better, is that thing from travel that it just it
And
does
also
it.
like,
Sorry, go on.
no, I was going to say also like they're what do they call it there? But for the grace of God,
Mm,
when you see situations, when you said
absolutely.
like we would be the same if we were in those situations,
Mm,
then you get to see people and you think, God, how lucky am I?
yeah,
Seriously.
totally. Yeah, you see people with absolutely nothing, and it's not their fault that they have nothing. They've just been born into that. So, you know.
No, I went on a couple of times, went to South Africa for bike launches, and I remember riding through an area, little black kids running at the side of the road, clearly like have a very different quality of life than
Mm,
I had. And we were all together. It was in the English group, so there was like a whole bunch of us, all the bike journos that you all have known their names. We were all together and we all had our visors down. I remember stopping, and this little black girl, she must have been about 7 or so. She ran up and they were just looking at her like, oh, like pull a wheelie,
Yeah,
to all of us, not to me. And I lifted my visor up to say hello. And the look on her face when she saw the color of my skin and that I was woman, I just, oh my God, please, please, please remember seeing me.
Yeah.
Remember
I didn't even think of that, I just didn't even think of it.
Oh, it gives me goosebumps when I think about it. I just thought, oh, how lucky am I? And I hope that she remembers seeing this, that I'm with all these white people and they're all treating me normally, like, just,
wow.
really, really interesting. That's happened quite a few times. Like when we filmed South Africa's Gladiators as well, that was another one of those moments because we had a team and they had a team, but their team was different in those days.
Yeah. It's a big thing it's a massive thing at the moment in the rugby world, because obviously South Africa is, they're Rugby World Cup winners. And in within their team, obviously they're going through it at the moment back in South Africa. You think the racial divide's probably as big as it's ever been, potentially back there. And I've seen a lot of interviews with the South African rugby players where, they are very aware of the position that they now hold and the sort of the hope that the entire nation can have in them, and their success is the nation's success. And for some of the sort of black players, they're very aware that there's going to be kids watching who are looking at them and going, well, we can do this. I can achieve this. I can attain that. Yeah. Yeah. Again, something that somebody like me, it's not something that, as a white bloke from Aberdeen, Scotland, it's not something that I even ever really think about, It's, being a role model towards people is, don't even think about that.
Very well, though.
Wow. Well, geez. Oops, sorry.
Yeah, no, you are. Good one.
Rebecca's got another question. She says, for both, an hour of military fitness training or an hour of extreme roller coaster riding? Roller coaster for me.
Roller coaster as in like a theme park roller coaster?
I think so, yeah. Just sat on a roller coaster.
No.
No. Go away.
No.
After everything you've done.
No, I've been in a Formula One car. I've been on drag bikes, MotoGP bikes. I've been in Chinooks in, where was I? Bosnia, Kosovo, I don't remember.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but we need a bit more calls, eh? But the roller coaster, I am the one who says, who needs me to hold their purse and their keys and their glasses and drinks? And I'm standing at the bottom with all everyone's stuff going, oh, have fun. No, I don't have any control. Do you know, I've been on, those slides in a water park, in a, like a pool, and there's just a regular slide for children. I've had burns on my hands because I tried to slow myself down. I do not like to not have any control over.
6'2" gladiator motorcycle journalist.
No, I'll do anything else, but I will not get on a theme park ride. No. Wow. I used to have this thing where when I was in my 20s, this sounds a lot dodgier than it actually, I mean it. It's rude to say no. So if someone offers me the opportunity to try something I haven't had, but I mean this in a clean, pure, life experience way, then I'm going to say yes. Even if I'm scared shitless, I'm going to say yes, because I just want to see what there is, Yep. And I was doing this TV show where I had to do 12 different sports. So I did banger racing. This is one with the drag bike. I did all these stuff, and they asked me to do a reverse catapult, and I said no. That and a jet plane. I didn't want to do those two things, but everything else I did, and they were really cool things. But no,
I wouldn't do a bungee. That's definitely something.
I've done one of those. I wouldn't do that again.
Yeah, no, no interest in bungee jumping at all. None. But I would like to go cage diving with sharks, with great whites.
Oh, I've done that.
Seriously?
Yeah, but I wasn't in the cage because you had to have some kind of paddy license, is it called? Like a diving license.
Oh, so it was just chucked you outside.
It was when I was in South Africa with Hunter and Ace, James and Warren. And Hunter, James, real name, fake name. James had a diving license. So he went in the cage and Warren and I sat in the boat, but we went out and saw him do that. It was amazing.
I bet.
Yeah,
I'll
really
bet.
cool.
Jane, that was us pretty much at the hour and a half mark. Please come back on and we'll do a part two. I've absolutely loved it. We've not even got into how you got into life coaching and everything that you're doing now.
There's so much more to talk about, isn't there? There's probably loads of bike questions as well.
There's shed loads. And there's some real obscure questions as well.
Give me one obscure one. Let's finish with a really obscure one.
Wow. Let's go. Let's have a look. So I'm just trying to read through some of them. Okay, here we go. From Moist Decoy. Morning both. Hope you're both keeping warm. Winter is coming. Question. What is the healthiest... Oh, that's the hell. I didn't see that. What is the healthiest cake or pie that you can recommend? Or is there such a thing? So I was put under pressure there, and this is the one I've come up with. Sorry.
Healthiest pie? I don't know. It depends if you're talking savoury or sweet, doesn't it? I suppose, for a start. And it depends whether you're talking about like a crusty base or whether you're talking about like a fish pie, you know, with a soft base. So I think if it's like with a soft base, like a crusty top, I would have like sweet potato kind of top with like mashed carrots, and then something a little bit of fibre for the top. And inside, I quite like fish. I'm not massive on meat, so I'd probably have like some kind of fish, vegetables, or maybe some pulses. And if you're talking about a pie with a crust, I guess it's going to be wholemeal, because you want something that's nutrient dense, don't you? And not like Greg's.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with Greg's. You know, everyone has a Greg's moment, but
so
I think depends on so many things.
So would banoffee pie be up there?
For healthy.
It's got banana, it's fruit.
There's probably a way to make it healthier than it probably...
Only eat half the pie rather than the full one.
Just have a tiny bit. But you know, like with all of that nutrition stuff, that most of us don't need to live with the 90-10 rule or even the 80-20 sometimes. You know what I mean? It's about consistency. That is, anyone who's listening who wants tips on nutrition, either DM me and I'll get back to you, or just remember, consistency is the key. The thing I get asked the most when it comes to health and fitness is, oh my goodness, how long do you train? How many days a week do you train? It's probably 4 or 5, but that is not the reason why I'm athletic-ish at 53 now. It's because I've been doing that for 30 years.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's the consistency. Yeah. And if the consistency means your steps are tiny, as in I drink a glass of water when I wake up every single day, that is better than just thinking, let me just chuck all this healthy stuff in and lose a bunch of weight. And then 6 weeks later, you can't keep it off. You don't know what you're doing. You feel miserable. So banoffee pie is okay. Just you don't want to have it every day.
And
is that your favourite then, Bruce?
Oh, I love banoffee pie.
Oh,
absolutely love it. Yeah, absolutely love it. I'm gutted that we haven't got to this side of your life yet, but I promise you, we get you back on for a part 2. We will. Before we go, can I pass the floor over to you? Please plug, promote anything you like.
Oh, bless you. That's sweet. Well, so I guess where I'm at now in life, I'm 53, so menopause kicked my butt, even though I'm nice and fit and strong, and it surprised me. But I'm coaching, and it's not just women. I've actually got quite a few guys and quite a few bikers, because I went to the bike show in London. When was that? February, I think. MCN bike show. And I noticed the audience there, we're not getting any younger, are we?
Nope.
And so I have quite a few women that I coach. And when I'm talking about coaching, it's not just pick up that weight and don't eat that. It's coaching. I'm not a personal trainer. I'm a coach. So it's what you need. If it's strength and nutrition, and I'm qualified to do both. I'm a qualified nutritionist and a strength coach. But I'm also really into supporting people where they are at their stage in life, whatever that looks like. So some of it's mindset stuff, as you can see, that's kind of my thing, the mindset stuff. And it's men and women. And it's not like people say, who's your avatar? It's people who are mid-life. It doesn't mean mid-age wise, but just like, this isn't the body that I want. This isn't the life that I want. This isn't the way I treat myself, the way I let other people treat me. This isn't what I want. And it's that mid, let's figure it out. That's what I like to do. And I love it. Love it. Like
And
with a passion.
and how do people contact you then?
Insta. Now I've got Instagram.
No, you've got it.
Yeah, because before it was word of mouth, and I've transitioned from meeting people in person because there's only so much you can do in 60 minutes. And I find I've got an app, and it's much, much better because we can talk about sleep, we can talk about stress, we can talk about nutrition, I can give you training, like whatever you need, that's what we'll deal with. But if it's just you're going to meet me for 60 minutes once a week, we can't possibly tackle everything. And I want to help as much as possible. So you don't have to live near me. I've got quite a few clients that live in England, obviously, because that's my connection. And I coach in 2 languages, but predominantly English, because I like
Awesome.
it.
Folks, there'll be links down below to drop Jane a line, or make sure you give her socials a follow as well.
Thank you so much.
Jane, I've absolutely loved this. I could talk to you for hours for sure. I hope you'll come back on. We'll get back on and do a part 2.
I'd love to.
Fantastic.
It's really fun. It's like
Awesome.
reminiscing, like, oh, I forget about that.
Yeah.
And then you ask me something, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's really cool. People want me to hear that, and it's nice for me to remember stuff as well. So thank you for the invite.
You sound like you've had an incredible life and continue to do so, and I love this. Let's see what we can wring out of it. Let's go. Yeah. Let's see what we can do. I love that attitude. It's fantastic. I love it. Folks, I hope you've got something from this. There will be a part 2. Make sure you check out Jane's socials. If you think Jane could maybe benefit your life, then drop her a line. And yeah, like we always say, folks, look after those that you love. Keep on doing your thing. Get on out there and live your life. Woo-ha! Awesome. Right, let me just stop that.